Good morning. It's good to see y'all today on this Labor Day weekend. As you saw from the video, we are rounding the corner to make our way to Branch's second birthday. And so we're looking back at all the cool bumper videos, all the fun stuff that we've done together, all the exciting things and all the ways that God has worked through this new community. And we're so excited about everything that God has done through Branches. If it's your first time here or one of your first times here, we'd love it if you would check in and let us know that you were here. You can scan a QR code on the screen and just ask for some information so we can stay connected to you, put you on the email list, send you some text messages, tell you what's coming up in the life of our church, especially as we are making our way to our birthday celebration on the 15th here in worship on Sunday, and then that following Wednesday, the 18th, which is our proper birthday for a night of worship and what we're calling a vision night, so we can look ahead to all the things we hope to do and the things that God is doing we hope to step into. So we hope that you'll check in and let us know you're here today, and especially if it's one of your first times here, I'd love to meet you out in the lobby after worship today, just to connect with you, to get your name, to get to know you, and just to welcome you to our community. You might have seen as you came in our kind of typical Branches banner here, out here kind of in the entryway, and some clouds and some markers. And over the course of the next 3 weeks of this vision series, where we're looking ahead to what we hope God does in and through and with us at Branches, we wanted to kind of ask the open question, what do you dream about? What do you dream about for your family, for your neighborhood, for your community, for the city, for the world? And we want to tap into what we're dreaming about, what we hope for, not just for Branches, but for you, for your life, for what you hope that Branches can be a part of in our community. And so as you think about that over the next few weeks, we're just going to cover that banner with our dreams, and we're going to pray and ask for God to be with us in the pursuit of those dreams and the things that we can do better together that we couldn't do on our own. And so I just want to encourage you to reflect on that over the next few weeks. You may have seen this on the internet, if you're on the internet. This chart going around says, the least attractive hobbies for men according to women. So buckle up. I hope none of you have these. I'm going to read them from the bottom up, from the least attractive to the most least attractive. I don't know how scientific the scale is, but here we go. Bird watching. Yikes, sorry guys. Comic book collecting. Taxidermy made the list. Building model trains. Choo-choo, all aboard, I know. Gambling. It kind of has a double whammy there. Online trolling. Carl. I'm just kidding. Carl's not a troll. That's a defensive mechanism before we get to the top three or so. Magic tricks. Collecting figurines or trading cards, which I've never done and do not do. And number one, playing video games. Those are the least attractive hobbies for men according to women. I shared this chart at the top of my sermon to tell you about the Christmas of 1996 when I got a Nintendo 64. I thought that would be a better laugh. It was a transformative experience for me. You may not know that in September 1996, the Nintendo 64 came out as kind of Nintendo's first foray into 3D games, and it was hard to get. It was really hard to get. I was 6 years old at the time, and my parents were like looking at every store and trying to track down the UPS guy before he got to the store and try to go to every Walmart or Hastings or Best Buy or whatever else, and they were just being bought up everywhere. So as I got closer to December, this was like a hot holiday item, it got closer to my hopes being dashed. And maybe you've seen this video of this little boy getting a Nintendo 64, and he's like screaming at the top of his lungs, Nintendo 64, and he's like ripping the paper off, and he's like screaming. And I was thinking, like, that's never gonna be me. I knew someone down the street, my friend Jacob, he had one. Another kid down the street, Alex, he had one. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna get one. So on Christmas, I did what every good kid does. I ran down to the boxes, and I kind of knew approximately the dimensions of the box. And I was like, my dad is so smart, he's put it in a different box or something because I'm not seeing it here, but we'll see. So we're opening our presents, and I opened a smaller gift, and when I opened it, it was 2 Nintendo 64 games. I was like, yes, let's go. Like, this is the seed. The seed has been planted. And I was so stoked, and my dad, I looked up, and I was like, yes, this means I got one, and my dad had this look on his face. He was like, Colin, like these games are like a promise, that when we find one, we'll get you one. Okay. And so, it's that mix of like, I'm excited, like there's a promise here, but also like these plastic cartridges do me no good on this Christmas, And then partway through, opening more presents, my dad walked out of the room and he came back in the room with a Nintendo 64 in his arms. Yes, very touching. It was a transformative moment for me. So women who contributed to this chart, heartwarming, transformative for me. I'm married, I have a child, like it all worked out, it's okay, I don't think Landon would say that's my most attractive quality, that I like video games, but it's all okay. I share all this to say, like, we've all been in that position. Pro-dad move, by the way, on my dad's part, to like plant this seed of like a little bit of disappointment, but a little bit of expectation, and then this kind of performative, but wait, there's more. I mean, like I say it on infomercials, but wait, there's more. Like if you call in today, if you buy today, you'll get this, or this bonus that. Wait, there's more. And maybe you've experienced that. Maybe you've been given a gift, or maybe you've been given a surprise, or maybe you've learned something about someone, or you've been growing your relationship with someone, and you learn, there's so much more to this person. There's so much more to this experience, or there's so much more to this gift, and it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's life transforming. And I mean, of course, there's the other side of it too. Like there's so much more. I was trying to think of like a negative example this morning, and all I could think of was like the year 2020. Like, but wait, there's more, it's an election year, but wait, there's more. Like it's a global pandemic, but wait, there's more, like cultural strife, and we all hate each other, but wait, there's more, on and on and on, but wait, there's more. And we can all probably, from a good or a bad experience, re-tap into that experience of, but wait, there's more. More than we expected, more than we wanted maybe, more than we could have hoped or asked for or imagined or desired, but wait, there's more. And I think that's the kind of premise, or at least under the surface, the, spirit of what Jesus is teaching his disciples in John 10. We're going to hang out in John for the next 3 weeks as we tackle our 3 core values here at Branches: belonging, daring, and abiding. And especially if it's one of your first time series, you should know that Branches exists to reach the spiritually curious people in our city. We want to be a place where people have questions, who do or don't believe what we believe, who think or don't think like we think, that they can belong, they can be part of this community, no matter where they come from, what they think or do or don't believe. That if they're curious, if they want a spiritual life, even if that spiritual life, the kind of first touch of it doesn't involve like Christianity, we want to be part of that search. We want to be part of that community. And so we're talking about belonging today, and I always say it's the core value that we begin and end with. I often use Brene Brown's definition that belonging is not fitting in. Fitting in is assessing yourself and then seeing if you belong, or assessing the organization and see if you fit and then you can go, or the organization assessing you to see if you can make it in, whatever requirements there are. Belonging is you belong. You show up as you are, who you are, and you can be a part of it. In fact, there's kind of this foregone conclusion that you were already part of it, you just weren't here yet. And that's the sort of spirit we want to cast here at Branches, that when people show up, they feel like they've been missing it, that they already were part of it, and they just happen to show up for the first time. But wait, there's more. And Jesus gives that spirit in his teaching to his disciples. In John 10, it says this. Speaking of himself, Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I'm the good shepherd. I know my own know me. Just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father." Friends, this is the word of God for us, the people of God. Thanks be to God. Let's pray together. God, Father, Son, Spirit, embodied in Jesus Christ, the Good Shepherd. Shepherd us now, lead us, guide us, care for us, and draw us into you that we might draw others to you. Help us hear this command, this imperative, this urgency that we must, by obligation, by fact of reality, bring more people in, not for our own good, but for you. We ask all of this in your name. Amen. But wait, there's more, Jesus says to his disciples. Imagine kind of putting yourself in the seat of these kind of core group of people, this exclusive group of people. This good news is about us. Jesus is laying his life down for us. Jesus is giving teaching to us. Jesus is building this community for us. And just hearing all this, I'm the good shepherd. And the sheep are like, yes, you're our shepherd. We want to follow you. We love you. And there's the hired hand. There's this person who's really only in it if he gets something out of it. And he'll leave you in a second, but I am the good shepherd. I'm here to care for you. I'm here to guide you. I won't leave you or forsake you. But, he says, or yet, or just so you know, there's more. That is, there are sheep that are not in this fold. I must bring them in too. So kind of an explicit reading of that, which is, you're Jewish people, and we're going to bring in the Gentiles, which is a message that strings all the way through the New Testament. That God is ever widening these borders and boundaries for who the people of God think is in, who they think is out. Are you in, are you out? Jesus says, you're part of this fold, and I have sheep in another fold, and I must bring them in. And you could maybe feel, again, that disappointment and or the excitement. Disappointment of like, oh, it's not just for us, it's for them too. List the them, name the them, enumerate the them, who it is for you, who it has been in the past. Jesus says, yeah, it's for you, and it's also for them, and I must bring them into. I love that Jesus doesn't say, like, it'd be nice if you brought them in too, or it'd look good if you brought them in too, or it would look good on a resume or be impressive or you'd be successful if you brought some other people in too, but it's okay if you don't. He says, no, I must. And not only that, this is why the Father loves me, because he sent me to do this thing, to break the boundary of the inclusion of the Gentiles into this larger family, because I'm establishing this kingdom where everyone belongs. I must do this. I was created to do it. And likewise, then there's more for you to do, or the way Matthew's gospel ends. You're going to go from Jerusalem, this seat of Jewish religion and civic life, and then go to all the ends of the earth. And for them, they didn't even know how big that was. And you must bring them in too, as far as you can go, as different as you can go, in different languages and cultures and backgrounds. And then this miracle in Acts and Pentecost, we read the story that people spoke different languages and they could understand one another. Again, God, through this project of must bring them in too. And this is the way that I'm going to do it. It's given to Christ, and then it's given to his followers. We must then. We must then be people who are about, there's more. There's more for you. There's a place for you. There's a seat for you. The doors are open for you. We must do this, not again because it's good for me or makes me money or good for branches or looks good on social media or makes a good post or makes a good book or makes a good story anyway, but I must because Jesus must, and Jesus must because that's why God came in the flesh to be Jesus in the first place. Not to bring some people in, but to draw, as Jesus says, all people to himself. This weight, this obligation, this must extends to us. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more people that you've even thought about. There's people who are in the shadows and the margins and the corners that you must bring them in too. And like I said, it's Jesus' project, therefore it's our project. That people, when they show up to Branches for the first time, or even another church community that they might maybe find a better fit, they feel as if they just haven't been coming, but they've belonged this entire time. That's how it should feel when a person begins to follow Jesus. They're like, man, I feel like I should have been doing this the whole time. I feel like this is the ointment, the healing oil, the medicine for the pain, for the disease that I feel like I have, or as the community that I've been longing for, the people that I've been looking for. I found my people, some people have said, of this place and of other church communities. Or I've found a place where I can be who I am. I found a place where I can be encouraged and uplifted and not kind of put a spotlight on me and told how bad and awful I am, but to be told that I'm a beloved child of the living God. The more we think about that task, the more we feel that must, that Jesus must do it, and therefore we must do it. I'm gonna ask you to do something you may not want to do, but to set aside your political persuasion for a second. And hear the lyrics from this song that Pete Seeger sang famously, but wasn't written by him, called Solidarity Forever. And it was written for laborers and workers, and many of those labor groups sing it on this weekend, on Labor Day weekend. And take or leave the kind of political persuasion that the lyrics might convey, but I think it says in some way what Jesus is trying to get across, just in a different context. Here's one of the verses. It's talking about unions. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, so their blood is filled with this inspiration of kind of collective community. There can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? Jesus draws people in because the fact of the matter is there is no solitary Christian. John Donne and then Simon and Garfunkel, no man is an island. You can't go it alone. You won't go it alone. You can't do anything by the feeble strength of one, but together, the way that God, curiously, maybe foolishly, recklessly, with risk, gives to the world a gift as a collection of people, the church. People who have heard the call of I must follow the good shepherd, and he must draw more people in. And the way he's going to draw more people in is in a kind of silly way through me, through us. John Mark Comer, right before he left Bridgetown Church, one of his last sermons there, he said to the church, it's time for us to dream again. They've been around for like 15 years at this point. And he was saying, like, we've been doing this project of spiritual formation, and we've been talking about in Portland as it is in heaven, and we've been doing this stuff together. We kind of have a good thing going for us, but it's time for us to dream again. In so many words, it's time for us to rethink that call that Jesus has for himself and then for us, that we must bring people who aren't a part of this fold in. And it's not about silver bullets. It's not about church growth strategy. It's not about like the newest, coolest kind of gimmicky thing that people are going to show up and be wowed by what you do. It's the very kind of simple, mundane fact, and I think the value that we share of belonging. We go over it all the time, and I try not to bring it up because it kind of brings me down a little bit, but it's helpful to know that so many countries all over the world talk about this loneliness, isolation epidemic. That people say now, this book, Bowling Alone, I don't know if you've read it before, it's actually become worse than that book describes, that very few people say they have more than one confidant, one friend they can share in vulnerability their life with, that they can share their secrets, their brokenness, their pain, just to have someone to walk alongside them. And Jesus says, there are sheep that are not part of this fold, and I must bring them in because they need companionship, they need friendship, they need belonging, they need the love of community, and that's what we're about. That's what we're to be about. Again, but wait, there's more. Much like 2020, we find ourselves in kind of a culturally disparate, kind of destructive, ugly attitude. And the weather continues to change and be unpredictable here, and people kind of find their place, and they can continue to kind of self-isolate, and we say, is it even possible? Can we even be part of something that can bring disparate people together into a place of belonging? Can we do it? And I say, no, we can't do it, but God can. I mean, if Noel and Liam Gallagher can get back together and Oasis reform, anything could happen. Look at God, won't he do it, you know? they're back. If God can do that, reconcile brothers that absolutely hate each other to give the gift of this incredible Britpop band back to the world. Thanks be to God for that. If God can do that, God can do anything. And I say that as a joke and just like to be culturally relevant, of course, but also, and out of my own excitement for them reuniting, but to say that God can reconcile any person. God can bring any person in. And why? Because he must. Because that's what God's about, because it's the central piece of his character. I want to say it this way, and then I'll end with a quotation. God turns every them into an us. That's the kind of church I want to be a part of. That for a community to say there is no them, there is only an us. There is no other fold, there is only our fold. And not in like a high and mighty, shining city on a hill, we're the best, we're amazing, but to say, you belong here, you can be a part of this. In fact, God already says that you are a part of this. Do you want to come and be part of it? Do you want to accept the reality that you're a beloved child? Do you want to accept the reality that you can be here as you are? Do you want to accept the reality that God loves you and is desperately in pursuit of you through Jesus? Do you want to be part of that and have a deep spiritual life and have companionship for the journey and come to this table and experience God's grace concretely and to pray and to doubt and to hurt and to be confused and to ask questions and to learn and to grow and to be with one another because we must? That's the community I want to be a part of. That's the community that's already been happening here at Branches over the past couple of years. And I just long to see it deepen and grow even more into a place where people say, like, it doesn't feel like I should belong here, but I do. Or when I step into this place, it feels like a place I've been looking for a really long time. Or when I hear you talk about the good news of Jesus, and even though I've had this church hurt, I'm ready to give it another shot. I'm ready to take the courageous step and be part of a church, even though the church has behaved really badly. We can be part of something like that. There's a writer you may be familiar with. His name's George MacDonald, and he was a Christian writer. He also wrote some kind of fantasy books. C.S. Lewis says that he was inspired by George MacDonald's work. And this is a writing of his. He was talking about the reconciliation of and the kind of binding together of brothers, siblings. We can kind of universalize it here. And this is what he says at the end of this letter that he wrote. What I want to speak of now with regard to the second great commandment is the relation of brotherhood and sisterhood. He who loves not his brother for deeper reasons than those of a common parentage will cease to love him at all. The love that enlarges not its borders, that is not ever spreading and including and deepening, will contract, shrivel, decay, and die. That we are the sons and daughters of God, born from his heart, the outcoming offspring of his love, is a bond closer than all other bonds in one. A person must not choose his neighbor, he must take the neighbor that God sends him. The neighbor is just the person who is next to you at the moment, the man with whom any business has brought you in contact. In him, whoever he be, lies hidden or revealed a beautiful brother or sister. Thus will love spread in wider and stronger pulses till the whole human race will be to the human sacredly lovely. Drink debased, vice defeatured, pride puffed, wealth ballen, vanity smeared, they will yet be siblings, be born God neighbors. Any rough-hewn semblance of humanity will at length be enough to move the disciple to reverence and affection. It is harder for some to learn thus than for others. There are many whose first impulse is to repel and not to receive, but learn they must. Learn they must. This love of our neighbor is the only door out of the dungeon of ourself. We're given neighbors, and we're given this obligation. We must learn to bring people in. And maybe part of belonging, maybe a facet of that definition is that people at Branches should be the easiest to learn that fact, that we are God beloved, that we belong, that we are loved. And this place, without our words, without us preaching, without us handing a pamphlet, just by the way we treat one another, can be a place that teaches and emblazons and exemplifies and stands tall as a place that does just that. Let's be a part of something like that. Thanks be to God.